Well, howdy, Schlockaholics. Welcome back to another episode. Running this sumbitch on a Sunday. Some scheduling issues that came up, but, that's not going to change anything. Sunday's just as good as Saturday, with the exception of having to go to work tomorrow. But we run these early enough in the day that doesn't necessarily matter too much. Of course, we're joined by Septum Sin and Cody over here. How you guys doing?
Howdy.
And today we're going to be talking about a selection that came from our good buddy Cody. Sorry to cover up your noggin there for a moment. And that is going to be CarousHELL from 2016. This is Steve Rudzinski. Is that how you say his name?
Think so.
Yeah, it's old Steve put this together for us, and it's a pretty good time. We're going to run the trailer here, do our first impressions, and then I'm going to let Cody host this sumbitch because it is his selection. So let's check it out.
And I'm taking you to the park. Look, I'm not missing out on this party, okay? How do I express how much I hate my brother in only 140 characters? Will you just ride the stupid thing already?
Chicken feet, this is Blue Snow Cone. Come in.
Okay, we're going to the party. Clark?
You here for the party?
All right, that was the trailer for CarousHELL. Good stuff. So, Cody, take her away with your first impression, and then we'll go around the circle here.
I mean, it's no stranger that I'm a fan of clown movies or carnival stuff, anything having to do with that. So this was definitely right up my alley. And I think it's crazy that it doesn't even mention in the trailer that Duke talks. So it's kind of an extra surprise. As far as you know, it just could be just some carousel horse just, I don't know, running around. But I mean, Duke does indeed talk. He's definitely got the one-liners down pat.
Yeah, by the end of it, he's at least self-aware that he's bad at it at first.
Yeah,
So yeah, overall, it's. I assume that you liked it, eh?
Yeah, I think I found out about it right about when the second one came out. I bought the first one. I just have the Wild Eye DVD. And the second one, I think you can only get it through Steve, the Blu-ray. I don't know if Wild Eye is going to do a DVD of the second one or not. Not quite sure. But I bought the second one directly from him, and they are both on Tubi. I don't remember how long the second one is, but I would guess it's probably not much longer than the first one. So you could definitely double feature these two pretty easily. And the second one is, like, if you end up liking the first one, the second one's even more off the rails. So there's really not no reason to not enjoy both of them, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah, this one was really, pretty compact. I think it's like an hour and 10 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
I did fuck up and forget to watch you guys said there was an end credit scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
That there was.
Too, technically, because there was something that happened at the beginning of the end credits, and there's something towards the end of the end credits.
Yeah, I did. I forgot about that until this moment. So you'll have to fill me in on that once we get to that point. What about you, Septum Sin? What did you think of this? What are your first impressions?
It's been on my radar for a while, but I'd never actually gotten hold of it. But then I heard about Hamityville Christmas Vacation, so I went to the guy's site where he was selling it, because anything Amityville I have to buy up because I'm sick like that. And so he had a whole bunch of other things that were interesting. So just did a massive order with the two CarousHELL Blu-rays. which are pretty good quality. I don't know how good the other one is, but I mean, these are pretty good. They got a lot of special features, a lot of cool stuff on them, and very well done. Um, and I didn't know what to expect on it because any post I've seen on it has been like, this is one of my ones that I have a lot of effort put into and stuff like that. Whereas these meowy movies hardly have any effort into them. So I was like, well, I'm curious if this is legit horror or horror comedy. And the trailer didn't really leave me with that either. Then I realized, yeah, this is full on horror comedy. This is absurdism taken out from the get go. As soon as I started the movie, you know exactly what it is, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it enough to go ahead and try and throw on the second feature, and it was good. It was very good.
Very nice. I pretty much was aware of this movie because of you guys. I think I'd maybe seen it pop up in like B movie groups, people sharing that they'd watched it. I don't really remember like absorbing any feedback from that, whether it was good or bad. I don't know. I don't tend to have that attraction to clowns and carnival stuff, which is why it's so awesome that Cody does, because it gives me an excuse to check this shit out, and it certainly did not disappoint. It's exactly my brand of stupid, I was laughing loud and boisterously through the entire film, right up until the end when that fucking kid gets squished. I'm a big fan of horror movies where nobody gets out alive, and this certainly delivered the goods there. I loved all the one-liners. I loved the goofiness of the horse or the unicorn using various weapons like a slasher style movie villain. Plenty of good gore in this thing. The gore was pretty top notch, actually, and it was just a lot of fun. It had some cool characters in there that I'd really like to see live on in other films potentially, even though they technically died in this movie. Horror movie logic means they can come back whenever the guy wants to bring them back, and I hope he does. I'm sure you guys know the two characters in particular I'm probably referring to. Loved it, man. Thank you for the suggestion. I'm glad that it was something that I checked off the list of things I definitely needed to see, and it's something I'll be ordering for sure in the very near future, because these need to go on the shelf so that I can revisit them frequently. I like the short run time, as we've been very vocal about on the show. We're always a fan of those B movies that are like right around an hour. If you go beyond 80 minutes with a B movie, you're kind of pushing it. And even depending on the content or the subject matter, 80 minutes might be pushing it a little bit. But if you can get right in that 60 to 70 minute sweet spot for us, you're pretty much guaranteed a couple of stars for your movie or whatever, just because you didn't fucking overstay your welcome. And this, if anything, this could have been a half hour longer and I still would have been having fun with it. So they end it right at the perfect time. Yeah, nothing but good things to say about it. So Cody, you want to break down the basic plot of this thing, and then we can start diving into the many, many highlights, this wacky, wild fucking ride here?
Sure. Starts off, you get the voiceover with Duke talking about he's works at a carousel and doesn't like it, and is tired of all these kids messing with him and sneezing on him and all this crap, and he just wants a break or a day off, or just wants to get off this ride essentially. And then I may have these flip-flopped, and then it fast forwards to the main characters, the daughter, the son, and the mom. And mom has to go work, and it's assuming she's a stripper. She talks about like some safety lessons she has to go get relearned before her next shift. And the son, who the daughter refers to as Lunchbox, and apparently he doesn't like that, although he has a collection of lunchboxes, so it doesn't really make sense. She has to go spend the day with him while mom's at work. And then eventually the son rides Duke, and Duke's finally had enough and just decides to bounce. And then ends up, the whole point of the story is Duke trying to find Lunchbox and kill him.
Yeah, pretty much. He's had enough of these kids wiping their fucking boogers on him and shit. and for some reason he's sentient. I don't know if it explains more of that in the sequel, but old Cowboy Cool kind of implies that it was his job to guard this sentient horse, and they put him to work at the carnival or whatever at the amusement park as a way to keep him busy or something, so that he wasn't out killing. And it goes horribly wrong. So, you know, you kind of have the subplot of Cowboy Cool with his little 6-shooter trying to track down Duke before he can do any more damage. Apparently, I've got some type of insane vacuuming going on right now, so apologies, folks. Hopefully that thing doesn't come alive and suck us all later. Because this really, the moral of the story in CarousHELL is to, you know, treat inanimate objects with respect. Just because it's not yours, just because it happens to be something that you sit and ride around on, just don't treat stuff like shit. It's pretty lame. Especially, you know, if it can come alive and take its revenge on you. And I think that's kind of neat, that as stupid as this movie is, there is sort of like an underlying moral theme to it that I think people really should follow. I mean, I like to think that in day-to-day life, I treat a lot of inanimate objects with respect, because in my mind, it's like, oh, just because I'm done using it doesn't mean I can shit all over it, because someone else is going to come along and use it, you know? Like, I've never in my life stuck gum under a fucking table at a cafe or anything like that, because it's just pretty whack to, you know, disrespect your environment, because once you leave, someone else is going to inhabit that space or ride on that thing, and it's pretty lame when there's boogers all over it, you know. So I dug that quite a bit. The plot of the movie is simple enough that it just gets it going pretty much right out of the gate. What's the first kill? Like
the clown
10 minutes into this,
yeah. No,
drunk fucking clown too. He's smoking some doobies back there too.
Yep. Jocko, I think.
Yeah, I think that was his name. Yeah, and he's pretty fucking mean to Duke as well. You know, so
right.
That's another good thing this movie has going for it, is the fact that all of the characters, with the exception of 2, suck pretty fucking hard. So you don't really feel bad by this horse dispatching them. You know, they all pretty much deserve it, including the kid. So yeah, I don't know, man. Really, this is just a highlight reel of hilarious absurdity and gore. It's the best kind of movie for these sort of discussions, because there's not really a complicated character development you have to unravel or anything. It's just they're there, they suck, they die. But for the sake of discussion, what do you think of our brother-sister combo? Their mom is really only in the movie for that one scene, unless she's in those post-credit scenes that I missed.
Yeah, she's in the post-credit scene.
Of course.
The post-credit scene kind of sets up the second and actually third movie, if you really want to look at it like that. But yeah, because it's got like the birth of the child of Duke, and then you've got the
oh god,
then you've got the dog of the pizza guy.
Oh man, it's a lot to unpack there, but I am intrigued.
I told you to watch it.
I fucked up, man. I was, I woke up this morning. I was a little hungover, and I was like, "Let's watch this thing." And I put it on, and I finished it, and then I was like, "Okay, that's done with." Because typically, I'm glad that you guys made a point to mention it, because a lot of times movies like these don't have post-credit scenes, but then a lot of times they do, or they'll have like a little bumper text at the end. That's like plugging the sequel, kind of like Bubba Hotep, where they mention Bubba Nosferatu in the credits, So it's worth watching the credits of movies. Old Cody Roebling over at Let's Get Cinematic makes a point to watch the entire movie, like all the way until the credits are done rolling. And it gives them the opportunity to discuss like cool songs that they put back in there, people that they, didn't realize worked on the movie or something, and then obviously post-credit scenes and bumper text like that. So I think I'm going to start implementing that going forward, just to be safe, because we don't even know what we've missed in other movies. You guys noticed the post-credit things in this, but who knows how many of these things have had like a hidden little thing in the credits or after them that we missed. And sometimes there's bloopers that randomly start popping up halfway through a credit sequence too.
Yeah, that's a big Sherlock thing.
So what do we think of the brother-sister combo? I think they slept pretty hard, especially the little kid. But the sister's pretty fucking horrible too.
Yeah, I'd say she's pretty typical self-entitled teenager with all her hashtags.
Yeah, that got real old by the end, but they made up for it. Oh boy.
Zoomer stereotype.
Yeah.
It led to some good comedy. I will say there's a lot of movies that try to use that kind of a character to be like a big punchline throughout the whole movie, and it falls pretty flat on its face. This was pretty intentionally annoying with it, but there's times where it works really well with other characters and the humor of the film. Like when she's talking about how, or they're talking about how they need to call 911, but they don't have a phone, and she's like holding a phone. Yeah. That was pretty. It's an obvious joke, but it's placed perfectly in the movie, and the way that they play it out, makes it even funnier. I guess you guys know more about the mom, but I feel like even if she's in the post-credit scenes, at least for the sake of this film, she's a fairly minor character. Nice pair of boobs on her, so I could see her making decent money as a stripper, I guess. The funny bit at the beginning about her having to get like training for off-site safety for like bachelor parties, lap dances and shit was pretty funny. I really liked the part where that little kid throws a pancake at that girl's face in that breakfast sequence. That was probably my favorite bit of the whole thing. Because there's movies like this, they do like the humor will be in the dialogue, but you knew when he threw the pancake at her that there was going to be a ton of funny visual gags in the movie too, because it's just such a random slapsticky thing to do, like chuck a pancake at her face.
Yeah, the mom shows up at the end as like the entertainment for the party, and she hears some noises upstairs and goes upstairs, and the girl's giving birth to Duke's son.
Fucking glorious, dude. Man, I dropped the ball not watching that. That sounds like something I would have audibly cheered for. I did when the kid got smashed with the fucking car.
Yeah, the second film almost has a thanks killing 3 quality to it, with but not quite as Muppet centric. But there's some things that I keep thinking of when I think of that.
Yeah, I'm stoked to check that one out. It's definitely a viewing of that is going down as soon as we're done covering this. I'll probably do a couple of chores around the house, so I don't feel guilty about putting those off. So then I'll just watch a bunch of schlock. I guess the next character that we're introduced to is her boyfriend. Again, very minor character. He's in the movie for like 5 minutes maybe, but it introduces a couple of fun things. Mainly the horse using weapons. It's not going to be it just like using its hooves or that sweet unicorn horn to dispatch people. He can hold a machete in his hoof, which just made me laugh. Go ahead.
I could have used his ninja stars on the boyfriend.
Oh god, I laughed so fucking hard at how dumb that was. It's like I said, this is my brand of stupid, man. It gives me an excuse to say hoove, which is also fun. It's just delightfully silly that he's using these weapons. And, I really like the part where the fucking kid is complaining in the back seat and that guy's just straight up says like, "Shut up, kid, I'm trying to bang your sister." It's so fucking savage. But I mean, he probably seemed like the most likable character in the movie other than some dudes that we'll get to. But he dies so quick that it doesn't matter. This isn't a movie where there's room for likable characters. Get the fuck out of here, kid.
She's trying to cheat on him anyway.
Yeah, the whole time. Like immediately as soon as they're not hanging out, she's already trying to bang our pizza boy, which we'll get to. I guess the next characters that we're introduced to are just the kids at the party, because basically the movie, it goes from the amusement park, which they obviously, I don't think, could afford to show a ton of amusement park stuff. So maybe they just had access to a carousel, actually. Was there any other really amusement park shit in the movie?
You could kind of see like the ride next to it was like a slime bucket ride or something like that. You could look like overflowing paint cans that you sat in and kind of just went around in a circle. Just this kind of background you saw. I didn't really focus on it though.
I mean, I like that they had that.
Go ahead, but sorry.
Because it lends a bit of quality to the film. That I'm looking up and I'm saying, oh, this is going to be a bit more of an investment monetarily than a lot of the films I have watched. So that's kind of cool in a way.
Oh, for sure, man. I mean, it's, I'm not saying it as a knock or anything. It just had me curious. Like, did they shoot this like guerrilla style on the edge of an amusement park, or was it just a place that happened to have a couple of amusement rides? Like, I just would, I'm curious of the whole backstory there, because usually amusement park movies, if they're doing it in there with like the permission of the park or something, they're wandering around showing the whole amusement park as almost like an advert for the place, but this doesn't really linger on the amusement park like that. It just sort of shows it, and then you're moved on to the whole party chunk of the movie.
I should have checked the credits for that, because they would have included something like that in the credits probably.
It looked like a real place, whatever it was. I don't think they just set up these rides and like build. I don't think that would have been in the budget of this film to like build an amusement park set.
I would say with the age of the kids, it wouldn't be a surprise that one of them probably worked at that place.
Right. Maybe their boyfriend really did work there.
Right.
But I know it's been mentioned that this is probably one of the higher budget features that he has done. So may have been the director himself. I can't remember. But that would show on something like this.
Oh well, yeah, but a higher budget. This is the fellow that makes those cat films, right? Like, obviously, it's a higher budget than that shit. I'm just more so wondering where the place is. It'd be neat to like visit it,
I mean, the DVD does have a commentary track, so I'm sure it probably answers those questions.
For sure, yeah. It'll be interesting to learn that. But
I had to make a choice: watch the sequel or watch the commentary. I chose the sequel.
Yeah,
don't blame you.
Yeah, if I had the ability to do that with a physical copy of these, well, now that I've seen it and will have seen the second one, as soon as I get them, I'm probably listening to the commentaries. But yeah,
so I know the other two people at the party, the other two guy characters, were the guy with the beads who secretly likes the My Little Pony stuff, and then there's the kind of jock type guy, like over the top. I can't remember.
I don't know if we got a name for him in the movie.
Then you had the brother sister they thought were French, but they were from Canada.
Yeah, they're from Quebec.
Yeah,
the incest twins or whatever. I don't remember their name, but I guess that's a good enough title for them. I forget the dude. Okay, I think it's Patrick was the name of the Mardi Gras like guy with two fucking collars on his shirt. Preston, excuse me, Preston. Yeah, and then Joe was the pizza guy, I believe, played by Steve Rudzinski himself. It looks like.
Uncredited, which is weird.
It is weird, but Joe is such an interesting character in the movie. Him and Preston, I think, could have a whole series of movies just to themselves, And both of them were killed in ways that they could technically come back from, But I just absolutely loved Preston and Joe. Preston, I think, is who we're introduced to first because he's kind of wandering. He's like the first person that talks to him, I think, when they come into the party. And he's trying to convince people to show their tits and so he can give them Mardi Gras beads, which is kind of a genius thing to do, Like, I don't think anybody ever thought that shit would work outside of Mardi Gras specifically, but I bet you it would at like a frat party. I think it's the type of thing that could be pretty consistently rewarding
mean,
in that type of a setting,
According to him, he saw 7 of them.
Yeah.
So,
which was great, dude. And she's like, "How do you even get to that number?" And she's like, "Oh my God, do you really want her hearing you say that after she survived breast cancer?" It's fuck yeah, I'll look at that one titty. Why not? You get 2 beats, His 2 collars, though, such a good touch. Like he's wearing double polo shirts or whatever. Because one collar just wasn't enough to hold up all those beads, man. Bless his soul. He's hilarious through the entire movie. He's just kind of like that. He's like your typical horny college dude, but it also turns out, like Septum Sin mentioned, he's a brony, secretly he's super into their universe's version of My Little Pony.
yeah, My Little Uni.
And that gets brought up at the party and almost, destroys his chances of any action that night. But I feel like he pretty successfully overcomes it. And then, obviously, I forget the one girl's name, like Preston's girlfriend, who's also well, she's not a brony because she's not a dude, but she's a uni fan. She seemed nice, bit of a fucking nut job, as it turns out later in the movie. But she seemed nice enough at first too, where I was like, "Oh, okay, here's the character we're supposed to not want to die," And she commits horrid sins. Go ahead.
She's definitely a uni fan, that is for sure.
Yeah. And she's, trying her best to entertain the guests. She's got the charcuterie board that she made for the incest twins. She's craft singles on it, which is just hilarious. It's the little things in life, folks. And boy, did those craft singles sticking to that plate as they were trying to dump it in the trash just make me laugh and laugh,
And Lunchbox fishing them out of the trash to eat them.
Yeah, fuck yeah, I would have been that kid for sure, at least in that situation.
And then puts it in between 2 slices of pizza.
Yeah, that's also kind of genius, too. I never thought of making a sandwich with pizza as the bread. I don't know if craft singles is what I'm going to put in there when I eventually do this, but we doing it, folks. It's going down.
No, I know that. And who knows, maybe the director will be listening to this overall, and maybe it'll be in the commentary. But I do notice that in a lot of the movies I've seen of his, which oddly enough I've seen a number of them now because I've seen every single one of the Meowing movies. And that thing, Everyone Must Die, was also really good. But he loves to reference other movies in his films, like a ton. So I was wondering if the pizza guy not being able to get paid is a Home Alone reference.
You're on mute.
Am I on mute?
No, you were good. Is my bad, dude. I think it might be a Home Alone reference. That did occur to me as well, and I did notice that there's like a Phantasm reference. I think later in it, because I believe the horse says, "You play a good game, boy." Like, isn't that fucking from Phantasm, or am I totally misreading that?
That could be, and that's the thing is that's one of the things that's worth rewatching the guy's films so far is that I like to sometimes try and pick out the references in them. I know that at least for Christmas time, I'm sure I'm going to be hitting up Amityville Christmas Vacation and Yowie Christmas and Yowie Christmas Vacation.
Yeah, I'm going to definitely need to see all of this guy's movies because if it's got, even if in his like cheaper flicks, if he's got that same sort of brand of humor going on with a lot of it, I'm definitely there for it.
Yeah, the only one that I have difficulty with is Red Christmas, but there are a couple of, but that's because I don't like stuff where there's a lot of torture, and that's what that movie is basically all torture. As far as horror movies go, but there are certain things like there is an axe murderer who calls himself the Axe, and he makes axe-related puns while killing people. Now that, to me, and the attachment to his other thing about the slasher killers, which is a group of people who just hunt horror movie slashers and kill them.
You told me about that once, and it sounded fucking awesome. Sorry, what were you saying?
No, I'm just saying that kind of thing saved that movie for me. But yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff here.
There's a lot.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You finish up.
I was saying there's a lot of interesting little touches, like he's got the My Little Uni song in there.
Yeah, he's got there was quite a few lines in there I recognize from movies. I think the only one that I still remember is the Yippee Ki-Yay one.
Yeah, which I had a feeling was going to end up in there because it's like a cowboy thing, and they were definitely running that alongside the unicorn thing, which is fun. I think that was supposed to be like the whole theme of the theme park it was something's corral or I forget what the name of the park was, but it was like a cowboy theme park, right?
Oh yeah.
And the clown was like dressed up as a rodeo clown.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I mean, they could have went in a very different direction with that. I don't know if I would have thought to combine Wild West shit with like the idea of a unicorn. You know, maybe they would have leaned more into the fantasy, cartoony unicorn element of it. But man, old Cowboy Cool was pretty freaking cool. I liked that he never took off the mascot costume through the whole movie. You know, I also like that he was stashing his fucking gat in the goddamn ball pit. Those things are dangerous, but I've never found a gun in one.
Not really hidden either, just kind of sitting at the top.
Yeah, it wasn't a very deep ball pit. It looked like it was missing a lot of balls.
That's just like an amusement park that's been through its share of hard times.
Yeah, sadly, that's most theme parks nowadays that aren't big corporate parks. We were discussing a Flintstones themed theme park a couple of days back, and you know, it's a shame to find out that that's gone, but it was crumbling for years beforehand. Hopefully this place is doing okay, because you know, if I ever find myself in the neighborhood, I wouldn't mind visiting it, getting a picture on one of those horsies. You know what I mean? It'd be cool.
I mean, we definitely. I need a Cowboy Cool origin story. Yesterday,
I would be there for that as well, because he still might be alive. Also, you know.
Yeah, they give you they really do have a lot of questions that need to be answered about Cowboy Cool, especially with knowing Duke's origin and all of that stuff, because they give you Duke's origin and how he became what he was in the second movie.
Nice.
And of course all of the other ones, because they say that, you know, he's one of the few that has woken up from his slumber, but there's a whole bunch of these objects that are still sleeping.
Oh, that opens so many cool doors to franchise possibilities with this thing.
And I'll buy them all.
I have to go see what my dog's barking at real quick. I apologize, guys. He's going at it pretty hard out there. So I'll be right back. You know, feel free to move this along, and I'll catch up when I get here.
Actually, I think that Pizza Guy is my favorite character in this film.
Yeah, he was just so clueless. And then, you know, find out at the end, oh, you were flirting with me. You got to make it more obvious. Us guys don't understand this stuff. I thought you were just talking about pizza.
It'd be pretty hard to make it any more obvious than it was.
Right. She was definitely spoon feeding it to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, though I understand where he's at too, because he's trying to save his sick dog, you know.
Right, and, that's true.
And knowing what happens to the dog after watching the second film, that's kind of a sad thing, you know.
Yeah.
But still, it was kind of interesting. I don't want to necessarily ruin the second film because it's so much fun to watch. But there's definitely a lot of stuff that comes back to this one, and for the third film, which I do know he's making. So I am curious as to how that's going to go.
Yeah, I can't wait, dude. And you could tell by the way that they were like, the way Duke is Cowboy Cool is referring to Duke. You could tell that it was intentional. They were laying seeds for a more deeper lore where the horse is concerned. If I had to guess, I would think that it's maybe they're possessed by a person, but I don't know. I mean, I'll have to watch the sequel and find out.
Yeah, so far the only actually out of all the franchises I've watched by this guy, I am actually eager to see sequels in all of them. So, I love the slasher killers concept. I like the meowing movies are entertaining for me. So I like that universe, and then Carousel, I definitely want to see a third. Uh,
Yeah, I mean that's saying a lot too for a guy that you want to watch sequels to all. You hope all his movies have sequels. You can't really say that a lot about a lot of people.
I'm usually
That's
like,
very
if I
true.
really like a film, I'm fine leaving it as it is. Like, I don't want a sequel, or the sequels start to become so bad that you're like, oh gosh, stop, please.
Right.
Yeah, there is a certain point they hit where they're kind of tarnishing the legacy of the ones that were good, but I'm there for this. I mean, if they want to put this out in like a sweet box set once he hits, 5 or 6 of them, I could see buying that. Or
Oh,
even
for
a
sure.
trilogy set if he stops at the third one. Because I love this movie. I think they would have probably done pretty well theatrically as like a double feature for special events or something. I don't know if your average people would go see these as standalones in the theater, but if they're both like an hour
Oh,
long and they run it as like a little mini schlock fest, I think it would sell some tickets. I think
I
these would
definitely.
benefit from being watched with a group so you could get that crowd interaction sort of thing going on.
Well, I think this would do excellent at a con. Um,
Yeah.
The
but
whole crowd just tells Cowboy Cool to eat a dick in unison with that little kid. It'd be a beautiful
what about
moment.
what about the sex scene that they have in this film?
One of the gnarliest things I've ever seen. It was truly disturbing and uncomfortable.
She went in for it though. I mean, it's not like
God damn, did she?
she definitely rose
I
to the occasion.
I think she had a chance to survive the film, but then she started freaking out so much that she decided to do it. That he just like, no, screw this, I'm killing this person.
That's wonderful. Yeah, man, I did not expect it to go as far as it did. Several times over this movie, I knew it was going to go pretty far with the gore because we'd seen the trailer. But that was the moment really where the movie, I knew that it was like, oh shit, this guy is going for it. Like, not for the faint of heart, because they don't just, it's not a quick love sequence. I think it's like something like almost 90 seconds, which is long for a movie love scene, even in a serious film. So those of you guys that haven't seen this thing, you can imagine the depths they dive to with this thing. I especially liked him smacking her ass with his hooves, clomping her.
Using her chest as salt licks.
Yeah, oh man, it's just it ratchets the absurdity of this thing up to just monumental levels, because it's already pretty absurd by that point, but that's where there's no breaks on this thing, is that love scene with the pony.
Yeah,
Or with
that's the line right there. That's if you did, that'll be your decision on if you enjoy this movie or not, or like this filmmaker or not, as if how you react to that scene.
Yeah, it almost reminded me of some of the sex scenes that are in like Chris Seaver movies, where they get so fucking weird that you're like, oh my god. It starts out.
Yeah. Oh, froze.
He was freezing a lot last night too.
Well, there's some similarities with Seaver films in a way, because you've got these characters that are obviously just ramped up on the stereotypes of these characters. They just push it over the edge. And there's a lot of other references. So there is some Seaver DNA in this type of thing.
Yeah, definitely with the absurdity. Backtracking a little bit, I did like how his first couple kills, he had like the in hell puns, and then after that, that's the third time I've said that in about 10 minutes. I got to come up with something better to say.
Yeah, that was a good touch, and it pays off well later on with the hashtag chick when she says, she says CarousHELL as like her hell pun, and it pisses him off so much that he fucking Superman eye lasers her to death.
Yet later, he actually he actually decides that it's a great idea, so he starts using it for his Instagram page.
Fuck yeah. I'm just so happy that he has an Instagram page.
As he should.
Once again, it's those little things in life, folks. I mean, you gotta appreciate it.
And speaking of that, the pizza guy, like on the back of his shirt, it's the 42nd best pizza in the county. Like,
Yeah, I think that was on their website in their URL as well.
Yeah.
Like they're so proud of it, they made it part of the middle chunk of the fucking website.
We cracked the top 50
in the county.
Yeah,
the whole
right.
county.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of well thought out stupidity. Honestly, the level of absurd hijinks in this movie, not even just that sex scene, just the level of absurd hijinks in general is very Chris Seaver-ish, but with a different brand of humor to it a little bit. This almost has like a bit of a Adult Swim style of like repetition being funny and random absurd comments, and I guess Chris has a little bit of that, but he predates that shit. This feels, I guess, like a modern, less raunchy, but still pretty fucking raunchy version of the kind of shit that Chris would do. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I think there is sort of like when you go into the micro budget field, you get some overlap in a lot of things, but a lot of it's due to the fact that a lot of these people who do this have such a love of film, and you can see it really when they put it on there.
Right. Yeah. And make no mistake, I'm not saying this dude apes Seaver at all, because it's again a very different brand of it. And I don't think a killer like this type of movie is not the type of movie Chris would do. So it's probably more so maybe that they just have similar senses of humor, is I guess what I'm getting at. Steve maybe has never even watched a Chris movie. I never have. Good.
Like that hashtag girl, I could see her in a Chris Seaver movie.
Yeah,
maybe maybe not as modern as she is, because it would be more like an 80s version of the character. But yeah,
that's what I was about to say. Yeah, Chris would be more inclined to do like the 80s mall girl version of that kind of a kid, you know. I think that, you know, it's kind of neat. I'm, obviously a fan of this kind of stuff, and it's just neat to see people that whenever you meet someone that has like a sense of humor, you immediately click with. It's a special thing, whether they make these kind of movies or not. And which is the level of dumb shit that's so well placed and meticulously thought out in this movie. I feel like I could have a beer with that Steve guy and have a good time, get into some silly hijinks together, you know. Probably everybody in this movie. I think you have to be pretty chill to fuck a plastic unicorn in a B movie, or do any of the shit that these people are getting involved in this. It seemed like everybody was pretty clued into the type of humor that was going down in this, and the acting, while stilted with a lot of people, I think was intentionally made that way. You know.
Well, I also like how Duke, they don't try to make it where it's, I don't know, someone with gloves trying to make him move around or something. Like it's literally like he's a horse that doesn't move, and like they're literally, you can see him moving them just down. Like the guys, they're not trying to make him do anything that something that can't really move could do.
Yeah, the only thing that I see that's like a different part is that they have obviously some prosthetic hooves that they use for certain scenes, but yeah.
Right, yeah, but it's like, I think what Cody's getting at is they don't make the horse super puppety.
Oh, yeah.
Like it adheres pretty strictly to the physics of what an animated carousel horse would be able to do, you know, and which is what makes him holding a machete with his hoof so fucking hilarious, you know, because they don't even make it look like the hoof is wrapping around it or anything.
Not at all.
And it's just such a good touch. A lot of other people, hell, if I made this movie, I probably would have did the guy in gloves approach to it, because it would have just been like, I wouldn't have thought about how much funnier it would be if we didn't do that until after the fact. So kudos to Steve and crew for, not going too far with that, you know.
Yeah, it was like the couple that were having the picnic, and then all of a sudden he was just there. You know, had like, obviously they're not showing that Duke can run very fast. Obviously they could have got away from him, but it's just the absurdity of obviously this came out of nowhere, and then dude's gonna take credit for it as he got it for her as a gift, and then goes over there like, I think we should run.
Yeah, that was pretty great. And just the first time that you see Duke move is pretty classic too. He just kind of floats slowly out of the frame. It reminded me of something you'd see in like an episode of Aquatine Hunger Force or something.
I imagine Duke was probably one of the most expensive purchases in this film on normal, because carousel horses would definitely be in the multiple hundreds right there for that, unless they got a hookup. Well,
it's weirdly enough, my parents had one in the corner of our living room back in the day. Not a unicorn, but just a carousel horse. And I think that they paid like $150 for it at a yard sale randomly or something like that. So it's a hefty purchase. It's not. It looked like they might have had theirs purpose made for the movie, because there's unless they were doing that somehow digitally, moving the image of the horse around. But it looked like they were really using it in that party montage, and like the dude was able to lift it up above his head and shit like that. One of the best parts of the movie, by the way, is
montage.
Yeah. So basically, like they're at the party. Duke eventually has to get into the party to kill the kid, because that's the whole goal of the movie. And so he just rings the doorbell.
It's a pizza guy.
And they bring him. Yeah, they bring him inside.
He does the pizza guy thing the second time, doesn't he?
The Trojan horse concept, literally.
Yeah, because don't they let him in the first time, and then the second time somehow they're outside, so they lock all the doors, and that's when he does the pizza guy thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Fox opens the door for him.
Yeah. Which
is also pretty clever, but it's also pretty fucking silly because there's already a pizza guy in the house,
which is funny because Pizza Guy is actually one of the few that has common sense about everything, except for the hot girl in the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved Joe as a character so much. He was my favorite character in the entire movie, with what's his ass as a close second. I forgot his name again. God damn it. Two callers. Because Joe was just not about that life of anything that was going on there. He was just trying to get his $42 and be on his way. And it was just hilarious how long they kept the pizza guy not getting paid gag going. That's the entire movie. I thought he was maybe going to be there for like 15 minutes or something and then get killed, but he ends up becoming a lead in the movie, and his chemistry with the bro dude was just hilarious. I think that it was probably one of the better parts of the films. They played off each other really well. I almost got the idea that Steve must be like pretty decent friends with that guy in real life, potentially, because you don't normally have that comedic timing with somebody you're a total stranger to,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think even talking about that carousel horse, like I wonder if somebody did work at that amusement park and maybe they had one that they had to replace, and they just kind of used that one as Duke.
That's actually an interesting theory. It's very possible that could be the case.
I would definitely shave down the
Wild
budget.
Jody appears. Yeah, if they could save some budget on that thing, to put into the rest of the movie, I imagine that would have been a cool bonus. I hadn't even considered that, actually, that they could have just gotten a hookup on the horse. Clearly, a lot of money went into the gore in this film, for this sort of scale.
They look good.
It's got better gore than like most of the other movies we watch that are in this kind of tier of films.
I mean, that scene where they take that guy and they just like pulls his head like off, like from the jaw splitting thing. That was pretty darned amazing. Effects wise, that was probably one of the best gore kills that I saw in the movie, for me anyway.
Yeah, I really like that girl melting. We get a full on body melt in this thing. Kind of reminded me a little bit of like Evil Dead or Darkness from Leif Yonker, or stuff like that, where it's like that real crusty body melt with like oozing pustules bursting, and really liked that a lot. We got a pretty good hoof to the face in this thing. That was a nice one as well. Throat rip, couple of impalements,
Ninja stars, machete.
Ninja stars. He garrots that chick around the tree with a piano wire or whatever at some point. Really creative kills in this, actually, for a movie about an animated carousel horse.
He's had a lot of time to think about this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, man. I mean, the gore is top notch through all of it. So wherever they were getting the budget and putting it into this thing, they were making the right decisions the entire way. I can't think of anything in it that seems like wasted, or that it wasn't as good as they could possibly make it for the budget they were working with. I didn't look what the budget was. I don't know if IMDb would tell us that with a low budget flick like this. A lot of times they don't. But I don't know. I imagine it could have been too terribly expensive, but probably more expensive than your average micro budget film. I don't know even where to begin to estimate how much all that gore would cost, but it ain't cheap, folks. And none of it was CG.
Yeah,
at least that I saw. It was all practical effects,
Yeah, very good practical effects in this film.
Very good, yeah. It's almost up there with almost up there with the level of gore that's in like Scare Package, It's not quite as good as that, but it's well on its way to being like that good, Is the gore in the second one improved at all, or is it around the same kind of quality?
That's a good question. Because so much, actually, no, they had an amazing face melting thing at the end. And so they used some of the similar stuff, but oddly enough, my focus was not as much on the gore with that movie as some of the absurd puppet work and some of the stuff there.
I'm just so excited to watch it. Is the baby in it?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Boy, is he.
Yeah, that's why those end credit scenes are important, because both of them actually do apply. One applies to like the tail end. The other definitely applies to the whole film. And always for this, definitely, if you're watching the second one, definitely look for those end credits.
Will do, yeah. Like I said, I'm thinking about implementing Cody's method of letting the end credits roll for every movie, even if there's not a post-credit scene. I mean, I like to hear the songs that they put in there sometimes, or like if you liked a song at some point in the movie, you can see them in the credits, like who performed all the music and stuff. There's useful reasons to watch them.
Yeah, if nothing else, I mean, you can just fast forward through it if you want to just check on the scenes.
Yeah,
that too.
There's actually I actually like the song that played during the credits, which also appeared to be the original song. So I actually just enjoyed sitting there and listening to it. So
yeah, it's kind of like it's what bookends the art within the movie. You know what I mean? Like an opening credit sequence, usually I am a fan of those as well if they're elaborate or have like a cool tune. So it's weird that I've never made more of a practice of like consciously watching the end credits of movies, because it is that last little piece of like their expression or whatever. You know what I mean? Somebody chose the song and put it there because they thought that it like fit with the movie or something like that. So yeah, I think I'm going to do my due diligence and pay more attention to that stuff going forward. So yeah, I guess we've talked about most of the kills. I mean, there's a lot of good moments in this movie too between the characters, especially once shit kicks off and they know they're being like hunted by a killer unicorn.
We still haven't mentioned my favorite kill though.
Yeah, which one's that?
I liked when he killed the two people on the porch with the flamingo
Oh fuck
Little
yeah.
blonde steak.
Yeah, that's too good, man. I mean, it's not an item I would have thought would ever be used to commit a murder, let alone a double homicide.
That's right.
I think he pulled the one dude's guts out through the other dude too. It all happened so quick, but it felt like he impaled them both with the fucking flamingo, and then when he pulled it out, it like yanked the one dude's guts out and through the other guy's guts and his back, you know?
Oh yeah, because of the like. Oh, I wish we could always be together. We should die. We could die together.
Magic is real.
Oh yeah, because it's I wish granted.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty much the movie in a nutshell, really. It's just a bloodbath, basically from start to finish, with some fun comedic, like party style humor thrown in there. It really is kind of the perfect party movie. I think it's needs to be like a yearly tradition where I invite some people over and play this thing and order a pizza to arrive at the house while it's playing. And then maybe like tip the pizza driver to come in and check out that sex scene. You want to see something fucked up, bro?
Give him some
Here's $10.
beads.
Come inside. You know. Hell yeah! Hand them some Mardi Gras beads. That's perfect. I can't find the cast page that I had up earlier, and my internet's not wanting to load up. Bums me out that I keep forgetting Two Collars' name, because him and Joe, the pizza guy, definitely need to come back in some form or fashion at some point. I could get into even just Joe-centric movies where he accidentally wanders into the plots of various horror films and he's stuck there because they won't pay him for the pizza. That could be a franchise in itself, just Joe the pizza guy, right?
Well, the only issue I have is I was hoping that they were all attached to the Meowiverse, and if of course it could still be the case because you know he could be playing multiple people, but I'd love to see that where you got like the kind of bumbling cop character from the Meowie movies and Amityville Christmas Vacation, trying to working with his cat to try and take out Duke or team up with Duke, depending.
Yeah, that could be cool. I mean, I still need to see those movies to fully have the, you know, to understand what you're talking about there. But I like the idea of a connected universe with these silly films. It tickles me in places that we'll go ahead.
They still have the Meowicon, which you know that's so they could use that as a way of fighting Duke.
I love every word that just came out of your mouth. Is the kid wearing that like cat shirt though? Maybe a little like at least a nod to the fact that this dude does cat movies.
I don't know. I know that he likes his cat and the two rats that he has. I know that he likes his cat. And I know that he likes Christmas. These are things that are consistent with this director.
Well, I didn't think about it
he
until
loves
you're just.
cosplay.
He loves what?
He loves cosplay.
Well, who doesn't? At least a little bit, you know.
These are things that you can tell just by his Facebook account.
I'll definitely have to be looking him up. But yeah, I didn't think about the kid's cat shirt. I thought it was just supposed to be memey, you know, like he's a part of that like meme life, you know. Those space cats were like a thing for a minute. But you know, now that I consider the Meowie movies, which is just also very fun to say, maybe that was his little homage to his kitty flicks. I don't know. I guess. What do you guys think of that kid like almost surviving the movie and then getting squished by the fucking car?
Normally, I want a survivor, but you know what? The kid annoyed me to the point where I was like, you know what? That was great. Because you think Duke is actually killed in the end because that magic 6-shooter is used to basically put a hole in him. But
Rainbow blood coming out.
yeah,
I
it
loved
turns out that he manages to regenerate or something, and gets in a car and runs the kid down, which is such a out of the blue kill. I didn't expect that kill.
And then he backs back over him, Toxic Avenger style. Oh man, so good. Yeah, I mean, the only characters that weren't very clearly dispatched in the movie, it sounds like, were taken care of in the end credits. And the only dudes that really were left open for possible survival is Joe and old Two Collars. And those are the only dudes that I would want to see come back from this as far as like characters go. Cowboy Cool maybe being a close third to those guys, but
Yeah, because Cowboy Cool isn't definitively killed to my knowledge, but he looked like he was dying, but I can't really tell. But yeah, he could. I think it's definitely open ended that he could return, especially if he's involved in this whole magical item thing.
right. And it sounds like this dude is pretty good about like thinking ahead with his projects because they were obviously laying seeds for sequels in this movie. So I would think he knows well enough that what he's doing, especially with our dynamic duo of Joe the Pizza Guy and old Two Collars. I mean, if they were meant to be gone for good, they would have been gone for good, like several of the other people in this movie, where there is absolutely no way they survived that.
Right.
And it
Especially
wouldn't
that dude that
surprise
got
me
the
if all
hoof to the face. What's that?
it wouldn't surprise me if all the movies that he's done are connected. I mean, it would definitely be a pretty interesting thing. I mean, like you could get like the slasher killers coming out of the woodwork, or the weird slasher characters that he's got coming in and being employed to fight Duke or something.
That could be a lot of fun. It sounds like. Uh, I don't know. I guess, do you guys have like a favorite? Cody already told us his favorite kill. Do you have a favorite kill in the movie, Brandon?
It's odd, even though it's so simple. The ninja stars. I don't know why, but it just made me laugh out loud when I saw that. And I mean, nothing yet has topped the kill from Xmas 2 with the Christmas tree. But that one was just so fun for me. I just enjoyed that.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I think my favorite's got to be the body melt when he finally melts that hashtag chick. But I think if I had a close runner up to it, I mean, there's the obvious gore bits, like when he puts the hoof through the guy's face or when he rips that chick's like throat out. But I think, yeah, I'd have to go with either the machete to the skull or the throwing stars as well, because it just makes no sense. It's gloriously stupid. The idea of those hooves chucking fucking ninja stars at the dude is just
Doesn't he use a
classic.
gun on somebody in one part of the movie as well?
Does he?
I can't. It could be the sequel. I don't know. I feel like he uses a gun at one point.
Yeah, I don't remember him getting involved in any gunplay in this one, but there's a lot to unpack in such a short amount of time with this thing. It's possible that I'm not remembering it, but no, I don't feel like that he shot anybody in this one. I think the only person that gets shot is Duke, which
This is one of
we already
the.
mentioned it, but it bears mentioning again. The sweet rainbow blood spurt
Oh
out of
yeah.
his neck was very well executed. I liked it a lot.
This is one of those few movies that I really didn't feel the runtime at all. I mean, it's kind of weird because some of these movies can go on too long. Like I say, House Shark is one of my prime examples of a movie idea that was excellent, but it just went on too long. And this one is like, it was over, and I was like, wow, I enjoyed that beginning to end. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a mark of a good film when it's over and you're like, damn, not only was that like not boring at all, but I kind of wish it wasn't over, and it's very fortunate for me that I can go watch the sequel here today. I know you guys got any runner-up kills or moments adjacent to your favorite kill that you'd like to mention. Just highlight it once again so everyone knows what to look forward to.
I mean, I think we all kind of hit probably the top three with each one that we liked.
Yeah. I can't think of anything else other than just beware of that sex scene, man. Definitely not something that you want to watch in mixed company that isn't prepared for it. But then also at the same time, that could be pretty fun. So there's several people I'm looking forward to showing this movie to with no like fair warning. But definitely not to be watched with your kids or anything like that. Don't let the cute carousel horsey fool you into thinking that this isn't gonna have at least one or two moments in it that will forever be etched into your brain. I
Oh, like
was
you see
not prepared.
that. You see that? That's what's going to happen to you if you mess up those carousel horses. You better treat them right.
Yeah, it could be a good cautionary tale, I suppose. So maybe forget what I'm saying. Show it to your kids. Why not? A good life lesson for them. And then maybe have a proper birds and the bees talk with them afterwards and explain that. Making sweet love to carousel horses is not something that is regularly undertaken, and there's a reason for that. Really got to watch that post-credit scene and see that little pony. I'm sure it's great.
That you do.
My little uni.
Oh, you guys got like a favorite line or joke, if you will, from the movie? Favorite moment between any of the characters that particularly made you laugh outside of the horse stuff and the gore?
I like the pizza guy scenes where she's giving innuendo after innuendo and he is not getting it at all. And that just, I thought that cracked. I mean, that just cracked me up several times.
Yeah, he's like, wait a minute, you're hitting on me?
Yeah, when he finally realized, and then he's like leaning back against the wall, cool, smiling, was such a good fucking moment. Like that.
You let me know. I thought you were just talking about pizzas.
Everything with him was great. I like Joe a lot. I think I've illustrated that pretty well. But come on, Steve, like give us some more Joe the Pizza Guy movies. There's several other like horror movie scenarios he could wander into and get trapped in. And it'd be cool if he's battle worn the whole time too. Like in the next movie, he has an eye patch because he took the pizza slicer to the face, which is probably one of the funniest moments.
How do we forget to mention that?
Yeah, I'm glad that it came back into my brain because goddamn, he's like, oh my god, it's taking so long.
I don't know how these pizzas felt.
And then even the horse is like, I chose a bad one. Like this wasn't a good weapon. It's taking too long to fucking kill this guy. Oh.
Yeah, I would say that definitely watch the second film because you'll be able to. There will be some callbacks to some characters from this film into that one that will please you, I'm sure.
Do we have a projected like possible release date for the third one? I mean, I know you said that he's working on it, but has he updated on when that might be a thing that we can sink our teeth into, or our hooves?
I just noticed that he's working on it. Did you hear anything from him about that, Cody? I don't know.
I haven't.
I texted him to let him know that we were doing this, so he could know that we were doing it, and but I wasn't like too pushy or anything about it.
Right. Well, Steve, if you have any updates or you got some behind the scenes stills, by all means, send them our way, brother.
Yeah, that's something I'm gonna look forward to, and the quality of the Blu-ray releases. Like I say, you've got the Wild Eye, but and so that might be a good way for us to at least let people know about these releases. I don't have the Wild Eye. I have the one that he put out, and those Blu-rays have some pretty good quality. It's got quality disc art on it. It's got some good menus. It's got lots of special features in each one, including the commentary. So I don't know if there's anything more that the Wild Eye has that this might not.
Well, I want to say I think your Blu-ray might be a director's cut, so I think yours might have some extended scene. I mean, this one's showing not rated, but I mean, I want to say I think a couple scenes go a little bit longer on his Blu-ray release, but I'm not positive on that.
That's interesting. Yeah, it makes me wonder which cut of it then is on Tubi.
No, I will say that if anything at all, my recommendation is almost always if there is like if you can get it directly from the director, do that because
Oh, absolutely.
they're getting far more money than they would from a release like Wild Eye or something like that. He's getting far
Yeah.
more money.
Oh, I'll be hitting him up. If he's got copies of these, I'd much prefer to buy them directly from him. But
He's got a
I guess I
store
don't
in
mind
the
supporting Wild Eye too. Getting these, encourage them to distribute more of stuff like this. But I would second your recommendation to just always hit him up directly if you can.
Yeah, I'm
He's
pretty
got
sure
a
that's the only way you can
Wild
get the second one right now.
Right.
He's got a store and site. I thought it was Wild Eye site, but which is pretty much all of his films on it. And he was touting one of his new releases of a new re-release of Everyone Must Die, which is one of his oldest films, which I need to still see because when I had mentioned that I really love the slasher killer stuff that I saw on a lot of the shorts he included in the Red Christmas release, he had said that you need to get this movie then because that's pretty much all about it, and it has some of those shorts in it. So
Right on. So yeah, hit Steve up. Buy your copies of his films. It sounds like he's got a lot of stuff to look into. I've definitely got some homework to be doing. So hopefully, I can find as much of it as is available to stream, and we'll be talking possibly about some of that, tomorrow for Schlock Talk. Definitely CarousHELL 2 is going to be getting talked about because I'm going to put that down tonight. But I'd like to see as much of this guy's stuff as is out there. I was, intrigued by the idea of the Maui movies when you were talking about them, or that Amityville Christmas Vacation. I mean, usually if Septum Sin gives his vote of confidence to some schlock, I know it's worth checking out and at least watching. Maybe I won't like it enough to collect it, but it's something that's worth seeing. So I'm glad that you guys put me on to this, dude. I'm very much looking forward to exploring more of his catalog of films.
even he was surprised about how well his Amityville Christmas Vacation went because he was talking about how it was more successful than this film. He was like, I spent all this money on this one film on these films, and then the one that's taken off like super big is one I like filmed for next to nothing.
Yeah, that's funny how that works out sometimes. That's pretty beautiful though at the same time. I feel like these movies should be like more widely talked about. Just based on this first CarousHELL movie, it's surprising to me that I don't have more friends that are vocally fans of this shit. And I can only imagine that's just because they just haven't gotten around to seeing it yet. I know several people that would absolutely love this film. Canadian boy Ryan is one of those dudes that definitely needs to check it out. We'll be recommending it to him. And we'll be recommending it to him tomorrow because he's going to be joining us for Schlock Talk. So, yeah, man. Matt Skinner, I'm pretty sure, is a fan of it. I don't know if you guys are friends with that guy, but this seems like it'd be right up his alley too. And he actually might be the person that I saw sharing it in one of the B movie groups. So, I'll have to look into that. But yeah, it's just, hopefully we can turn some people on to this, get them watching it. I'm definitely going to be showing it to people and recommending it to friends that I think would fuck with this kind of stuff. And we would recommend all you guys out there do that as well after you've seen it, because you're probably going to enjoy it. So we are at the end now of our, round of films. And as is customary on here, we are going to, announce what our next selections are going to be. And then we're going to spin for the order of those selections so that we'll know what order we're going to be covering them in. So Cody, what's your pick for us for this next round?
Pick me last because I didn't think about it.
Oh shit. Brandon, what is your pick for us for this round?
It was kind of weird. I was thinking it was going to be closing time all this month, but then I watched this film and I was like, no, I got to throw this out like right now. So that's going to be the Alex Leba movie. For those of you who aren't familiar, he is a physical media YouTuber, and he released his own movie this summer. So and I stumbled upon it recently, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty darn good for a movie kind of about this dude and his channel." So I'm definitely putting that up.
Hell yeah! Didn't you say it's kind of almost like in the same wheelhouse as the Out and About movies?
Yeah, it has some similarity, but it's definitely got plot to it, and it's not just a road trip, but it's got road trip elements. It's and this dude on his channel has got like a bunch of characters that he has introduced into it, and a lot of those go into it. So fans of his channel probably would love this more than the average, but as somebody who's only kind of partially watched his channel, um, I have to say it's still quite fun, and if you're a fan of Wet Movie One, he does make a cameo at the end of the film, so that's kind of cool as well.
Oh, cool. Well, there you go. It's not only similar to Out and About, but it's like literally adjacent because the dude is in there at some point.
He has
Very
a
good
lot
to
of
know.
physical. He's got a lot of physical media streamers who do cameo in it. So.
Right on. Very interesting pick. Definitely looking forward to checking that out. My pick is going to be a short film double feature, very much in the spirit of our Axmas or Death o' Lantern coverage. And this is from Face Melt Features. Old Sean Wright out there, and I forget what state he's from actually. But it's a double feature of his short films Night of the Axe and Spirit Board, Doorway to Death. Pretty great little short films. This dude is sort of a newer filmmaker. He just put together his feature film version of Night of the Axe, which I have pre-ordered copies for all three of us. So that's going to be my next two selections, actually, is all Face Melt Features stuff. All of the Face Melt feature stuff that's available at the moment. And hopefully we can get Sean on here at some point to shoot the shit with us about making his films and possibly what he might have coming up in the future. It's good to not only, showcase these low budget guys that like have established careers already, but also to, support some of these newer guys on the scene that are literally the future of this kind of stuff that we like. Sean's future is looking pretty bright at the moment. And I think that this is going to be a fun little double feature for us to run through. Grand total of like 37, what do you mean, 22, 35 minutes total. Our conversation will definitely be longer than the movie's combined runtime. But, got to highlight those shorts sometimes. A lot of people seem to really be responding well to the idea of us covering short films as well. So from time to time, we're going to check those in there, probably in double feature format since they are so short, and have some fun with it. So do you got some on the list that you're going to throw in here eventually?
Oh yeah, I've got like the Matrosia short film collections. I'm probably gonna, because each collection is like, I think, an hour for the entire collection or something, which that'll be a fun. In my opinion, you can treat collections like that as almost anthology films, and so.
Right. Yeah, it's just fun. I mean, there's no rule saying that we gotta only cover full length stuff. I think a lot of podcasts tend to mention shorts in passing or whatever, and not really treat them as proper films. But I don't think runtime necessarily determines how legit a film is. It's what goes into making it, however its length is. So I'm looking forward to checking out any of those that you want to throw in there. So yeah, short films will be a semi regular tradition on the show. We've done a few at this point, and we're doing a few more. We're going to do a few more after that. So Cody, do you got a selection for us over there yet?
Yeah. I thought of a different one, but I'm going to go with this one because it's on Tubi. So that way, if we don't have it, you guys will be able to watch it. I'm going to go with Joel Wynkoop's Dirty Cop No Donut, the first one.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah,
I've got the
you,
DVD, but I can't find it.
I'll have to let him know when, or whoever has the best relationship with him should let him know, because he might, if anything, he might be willing to either come on or put some comments depending on what the timing is.
Yeah, I was gonna pick Lost Faith, but that one's not on Tubi.
we all
So-
own copies of that though. So if you want to do Lost Faith instead, we can do that.
Yeah, I mean, shoot, I got that new Vinegar Syndrome one I could check out. And
Yeah, let's do Lost Faith.
All right. So Lost Faith, the Alex Leba movie, and the Face Melt double feature are going on to the wheel. I'm going to adjust.
I'm gonna be last, so we can just go ahead and skip that part.
Well, we never know. That's the fun of the wheel, man. It's
yep, just like that.
it can come out any way, you know. So we're gonna spin that bad boy first. And it looks like our first selection is going to be Septum Sin. So the first movie in the next round is going to be the Alex Leba movie. Now it's between me and Cody. I love you, buddy. But
I don't
not
mind.
rooting. No, I don't care. It's going to be rad either way. Because Lost Faith has been on my list of movies that I need to check out, but I keep getting distracted by other shit and not watching it. And Lost Faith is going to be second. So we're going to be doing, Alex Leba movie, Lost Faith, and then the Face Melt double feature, which actually might work out real good. If my spin is lucky on the next round, we could be covering the face or the full length version of Night of the Axe like 2 weeks after we do the original Face Melt double feature. So that's what we got to look forward here. We're gonna go ahead and make the thumbnails and do all that kind of fun stuff, and I'll announce that shit on Facebook and put it out there in the world so the folks know that what schlock we're gonna be, striding into next. I think that this was pretty fun. CarousHELL lends itself to good discussion, and I feel like this has been a pretty good one. The movie kind of speaks for itself, so there's not too much we could highlight that we didn't. It's pretty simple and straightforward, but with some layers of awesomeness that show that it was clearly a well thought out piece of schlock and a very well executed, well produced piece of schlock at that. So if you like, carnivals and carnival rides and beautiful, luxurious ponies and gore, and twisted sex scenes, definitely get out there and check out CarousHELL. You guys got any parting words for the people? Anything you want to plug?
Brandon?
Not much going on in my channel at the moment, so I guess although we did decide our theme for Inside Movies Galore for March is going to be Monster March.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully getting in on some of those. Definitely looking forward in any case to seeing what everybody's selections are going to be for it. I'm sure there will be some cool stuff thrown out there. I don't really have anything to plug at the moment either, other than our recent Full Moon Beginner's Guide discussion that I did with old Cody down there and our buddy Dominic St. Clair. I think we laid out a pretty good list of films for people to check out if they're trying to get a solid foundation built for their full moon journey. It's not your average like essentials list of all the top tier shit that is like the best in the filmography. It's all selections for the most part that give you like a good starting point to go and discover all those gems for yourself. So if you've ever been curious about checking out the full moon filmography, give that a watch and a listen, and check out some of those films. I do want to take a quick moment to plug all the people on our link tree. I've been forgetting to do this pretty frequently. But obviously you can check out my channel and all our full moon stuff and mainstream horror stuff that we have done and will do over there. Retro Cult Home Video link is in the description below, as is the link for all of this stuff. We've got obviously Septum Sin over there at Septum Sin versus the World with his co-host Kotobuki Jake, where they break down all types of physical media pickups and various other cool physical media hijinks. They run a monthly anime discussion over there, I believe, Anime Anti-Climax. So if you're a fan of that kind of stuff, give it a look. We also got Blaze Tudor, the spawn of Cody, son of Cody Stein, over there at Killable Productions. He's doing some cool pickup videos sometimes. I believe releasing some updates on his short films all that fun stuff. So, definitely give the boy some love, help him get a start out there in the wide, wonderful world of indie films. We got Cody Roebling over there at Let's Get Cinematic doing, his podcast action. Just recently did a double feature discussions for the My Bloody Valentine and the My Bloody Valentine remake. They also did a pretty cool kickoff episode covering Amityville Thanksgiving and various other indie films and the like. So give him a look. We also got Chris Seaver at a Crept From the. You're going to go on there tomorrow, you say?
I might be on there
That's rad, man. What is
tomorrow,
it that you guys were?
I think we're going to try to hit Shackle Demon Project that day.
You're going to hit what? Sorry, my internet lagged.
That was. I think I'm probably going to be on Let's Get Cinematic tomorrow, as a matter of fact, because I think that's what we're going to hit. That was supposed to be their first episode, but kind of screwed up, so it's kind of a redo.
Hey, it sounds like they've worked out a lot of their technical kinks over there too, so you're probably coming in at the best time. Definitely looking forward to checking out everything that you do with those guys. So keep us updated, man, so we know when to watch it. We're subscribed to them, but I don't always see my notification bells right away. I watch a lot of like skate content and stuff, so gets in the way on occasion. We also got Chris Seaver over at Crept From the 80s. If you like random 80s pop culture stuff or behind the scenes talks about Chris Seaver action, go ahead and check that out as well. They recently did a review of the This Is Guar documentary over there. That was pretty enjoyable to watch. And I think that they've been doing like the pop culture that made us kind of stuff more recently. So if you want to see some nostalgic 80s retro content, go check them out. And then we've also got the dudes, Clint and Don, over at the Hamityville Horror Podcast. Those guys cover a lot of sick indie stuff, do interviews with a lot of these cats, and just generally support the community pretty well. And have created a pretty rad Facebook group where a lot of these guys can get out there and share their projects with each other. So give them some love as well. All the relevant links will be in the comments below. I've been mowed.
Hey, let me do my plug. Let me do my plug,
bro.
You
Get that
jerk
plug
face.
in there.
Hopefully it'll be coming out this month, but I did a part for Joel Wynkoop's 187 Times as part of Phil Herman's Doomsday Stories. And recently Joel announced he's actually going to make 187 Times into a full-length movie, and spoke to him last night, and a certain couple guys that were on a dating service recently are going to be reprising their role for that 187 Times the movie.
Yes. That's hell yes, dude. I'm glad you stopped us and updated us on that. That is best news I've heard in a little while. I love those characters, and I can't wait to see more of them.
Prepare for the return of Pork Chop and Cooter.
Fucking A. They need like a trilogy of full-length films. I think that needs to happen, man. So yeah, definitely keep your eye out for that fucking Cody, that furry, adorable little man, appearing in some Wynkoop action. That's going right on my list of immediate watches when it drops. And yeah, that's it. That's what we got for you guys. We have been us. You have been you. This has been Schlockaholics. Get out there and have some fun. Watch some movies. Get that Tubi list built up and just let it autoplay, because it's how you find weird, wondrous things as well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Hopefully my camera feed wasn't too fucked up today. Been experiencing some technical difficulties, but we should have those sorted out by the next episode.